Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe. This is the news. It's Thursday, the 18th of May. We're in the studio. We are live, so get your thoughts in the comments. Today, we've got a couple of bits of news for you. Firstly, we're going to be looking at Patrice Evra. It was kicking off after the game last night. Evra is holding his corner on the Man United side of things, doing the Lord's work, getting pecked at by Manchester City, I think coaches, by the sound of things. We'll get into all of that in just a minute. Also, we'll be looking at the latest in the ownership. I'm going to go as far as to say saga. What, we're 120 days into this now, since the Glazers announced, or since it was announced, that the Glazers will be looking to sell or refinance or reposition or whatever it is. Manchester United, let's be honest, they're trying to sell it. We've got the latest on that news coming out last night of a potential update there. Morning everyone, morning Santa, morning David Jones, morning Chris Quigley. Let's start with this news last night. This was, I think, during the time we were live last night, or perhaps even after that, where we saw obviously Man City, finally, not bottling a Champions League semi-final and winning the game against Real Madrid. Let's be honest, they absolutely dominated Real Madrid, didn't they? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that they didn't. Fair enough. They were the better team. I think they've been the better team. I think Man City have got the best squad and are probably the best team and have been in Europe for probably the last 5 or 6 years, to be honest. Maybe other than the year Liverpool replaced them. I think if it weren't for Real Madrid's sort of Champions League heritage and that innate ability to win, I would have been, I'm surprised that Real Madrid, that City haven't won anything in the meantime. But finally, they're sort of living up to their potential a little bit in the Champions League. But after the game, obviously everyone is there. Ferdinand, Henry, Carragher, Richards, Owen. The likes of you, Michael Owens, are there as well. And Patrice Evra was also there reporting on the game. And afterwards, we see an article here. If we get this up, there's a little bit of a fracas, a little bit of a bust up. Between Patrice Evra and some of Manchester City's staff, as you see there, the former defender dressed in an all-red suit. I love how that has to be mentioned. It doesn't matter. He's just got his suit on. That's fine. Was at the Etihad working as a TV pundit, but Evra was involved in an altercation with City coaches on the pitch after the final whistle and had to be calmed down by Pep Guardiola's assistant Manel Estiarte. If we can keep scrolling down there, the fracas happened as City players celebrated thrashing holders Real Madrid 4-0. Evra, 42, remonstrated with Estiarte near his former teammate Rio Ferdinand and his BT Sport colleagues. You can see there an image. We'll get a video up in just a second, but we'll keep reading here. You can see him there in the red suit. I mean, he stands out, doesn't he, because he's got that red suit on. Evra later told CBS Sports, he was looking at me, he kept saying, he was like, this is for you, this is for you. So I came close and asked him why he was so agitated. He said, no, because last year you said on TV that City shit themselves. That's why they lose. And this year they didn't shit themselves. And you know what? This City coach can get all riled up as much as he wants, can go over to Patrice Evra, who's won a Champions League, I think been to 5 finals in total, so he knows what it's like, whether or not you win a Champions League, and the differences and the fine margins that come with winning and not winning a Champions League. He's right that they shit themselves. Back to my point a minute ago, City have had the best team, been accumulating the most points in the most difficult league for half a dozen years now. And they've not won the Champions League yet. And Jay always makes this point, and it's a good one. Every time Manchester United under Ferguson had the best team in Europe, we won the Champions League. In 98-99, we were the best team in Europe, we won it. And then I think, we saw Bayern Munich get stronger, we saw Real Madrid get stronger, they won it. Then obviously United sort of dipped in the sort of 04 to 06 area, where Chelsea, who I think were the best team in Europe, and they didn't win it. Then we saw AC Milan win it, who were the best team in Europe. Then United in 08 were the best team in Europe, we won it. And then it was Barcelona who were the best team. They, Man City are, to me, it's in the 20th century at least, or maybe sort of post-Premier League era, the only team that has been consistently the best team in Europe for multiple years and not won the Champions League. So for Patrice Evra to say they didn't win last year because they shit it, I think that's fair. If you're the best team in Europe and you don't win the Champions League consistently over many, many years, it's not like, they had a chance and they blew it. They've been the best team for ages. Ever since Cristiano Ronaldo left Real Madrid, Man City have been the best team in Europe. And they failed to win the Champions League. And Patrice Evra, as a Man United legend, as he says himself, isn't going to stand there and say, oh, I'm really proud of Man City. I think they've really overachieved to get here. No, you're the best team. You should go out there and win it, and maybe they will now. But it's taken them long enough, hasn't it? And I think we've got a video as well of this little situation. And I like that Patrice Evra, this is from Daily Mirror here. You see him there, look, arms out, chatting, remonstrating there. It's not all that much of a bust up, really, is it? It's a little bit of an argument, a bit of a back and forth there. You can see him getting into it. But if they're going over to him saying, oh, look, this is for you, this is for you. First of all, pathetic. It's not for... If you think you're getting to a Champions League final for Patrice Evra to prove him wrong, then your priorities are all over the place. And secondly, he was right to say this shit themselves last season. And the season before, and the season before, and the season before, and the season before. Like, it's not... Do you know what I mean? Eventually, City were going to win the Champions League. It hasn't happened yet. It might well happen this season, but it's, they should have won it before now, really, if we're honest. P. Savage says, I'm saying the club don't deserve any of the success. And well, that's a separate question, isn't it? What is it, 115 charges against them at the moment? I think we can all argue whether, there is no argument, is there? We know that Man City have gone about things the thing with City is, they've either gone about it in an illegal way or in a way where they are constantly tiptoeing on the line of legality. They are loophole FC. Do you know what I mean? So either they've bought these players, the sponsorship, all this stuff, the money to Mancini, all of this stuff. It's either illegal, which it is, let's be honest, or it is so close to being illegal that you need the best lawyers on earth to prove that it was legal. Do you know what I mean? That's not a situation that is particularly something to be proud of, is it? You're either breaking the law or you're right on the cusp. All right, okay, good. If you need the best lawyers in the world to prove you haven't broken the law, you probably could do with taking a little step back. But obviously that's where City have been for the last decade, isn't it? Doyley says, love that Rio in the background, keeping an eye on him, ready to jump in and help Evra on that video. Can we just get that back up? Let's try and have a little look out for Rio Ferdinand, because I didn't see that. It might take us a second here, because producer Callum, I can hear him whispering to himself in a way that suggests he wasn't ready to bring this video back up. But Doyley there, I'd like to see this. Rio Ferdinand got his back. Where is Rio on there? Oh, yeah, see, Rio on the left-hand side just here. Look at him, corner of the eye, keeping an eye out. Good lad. That's fair enough, isn't it? You got him on you, is his mate after all. Andy Stoltz says, if City are found guilty, will they be stripped of it all? Well, I think the current lawsuit and the current claims are only going up to, is it 2017? 2016? I think, and that's not because they haven't broken any rules after that, it's because that's just where we're up to in terms of retroactively looking at all of the accounts and all of that sort of thing. So there's a chance that these seasons that we're seeing now are also breaking the law, and then there could be punishment for that as well. But the problem is, even if they're not breaking the law, they are building on the success and the financial structures set up when they were breaking the law. Do you know what I mean? So maybe Man City now have got legit sponsors. Maybe they aren't doing odd payments to former managers where you get paid $6 million a year to be our manager and we'll give you £6 million to do 2 days of ambassadorial stuff, which is what they did with Mancini, or the figures aren't quite that, but that was basically the gist of it. But now, because they've won so much in the last 8 or 9 years, they can get legitimately big sponsorships because they are the most successful team in England. But the only reason they got to being in that position is because they had to plump all the numbers and fake it all and lie, basically, to get to that position in the first place. And then now, of course, look, we've won 4 Premier Leagues in the last 6 years. We get loads of sponsors coming to you. But you wouldn't have won them if you hadn't. So who knows? That line is always a strange one where you've now got legitimate success, but it was all built on these charges and these misdemeanors from the decade before. How can you say whether that's legal or not? I don't know. Anyway, Daz Sweet says, don't care about City one bit. I wish I didn't, because I know that I agree with you. I don't care about, theoretically, Man City. I care about Man United. But that sort of does play a part in your life when people are poking fun at you, taking the piss. You've got to watch your City rivals doing a little treble tour around the city you live in. That's a pretty shit situation. So, Anyway, I like to ignore it, and maybe we should from now on, but it's pretty hard when it's right on your doorstep. Right, let's move on then. That's enough from Man City. Actually, before we do that, let's just see some of these comments. Jay Cowder says they don't deserve the treble. The problem is, let's see the FA Cup first. They have been the best team this season. They have. Arsenal were always going to bottle it. They've been the best team in the Champions League. In terms of this season, I don't think they've got lucky to be where they are. But like we said, this whole thing is built on quicksand that is propped up by the best lawyers in the world. Matt G says, I'm not joking, I'm better than Haaland. Interesting, isn't it? They bought him in to win him a Champions League and he hasn't scored in either of the semi-finals. But, they're there anyway, so who cares? Free Gold says, I hope Patrice Evra is at the FA Cup final and when we win it, we will parade him around like a trophy. Yeah, just Harry Maguire lifting Patrice Evra up in the air, kissing his back and then lifting him to all the fans in a little silver suit, so he looks like the FA Cup. I'll be up for that. Right, let's move on. Into talking about owners and dodgy owners, the Glazers. This is coming out of the Express, and it's also, to be fair, the Express isn't always the most reputable, but this sort of sentiment has been echoed in the Athletic as well. This is that the Man United owners, the Glazers, make announcement decision, which again, the reason we haven't gone for this as our main headline today is because that headline there is a bit of a, come and look at this. It's a bit of a dodgy one because the announcement is that they won't announce who the new owners are this week. So to me, that's a bit of a, hey, big announcement. What is it? There's no announcement. You just said there's a big one. Yeah, that is it. That there's no announcement coming anytime. Right. So not a big announcement then. Here we go, scroll down. Manchester United owners, the Glazers, have ruled out entirely announcing their preferred takeover bidder this week, according to reports. Sheikh Jassim tabled a fourth bid for the Red Devils on Tuesday. However, it's still unclear whether the Qatari billionaire will be able to succeed in buying the club, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe also firmly in the mix as well. According to the Telegraph, again, they see a slightly more reputable source there. The Glazers have ruled out announcing their preferred bidder for United this week. However, key figures are hopeful but not certain that a takeover process can be resolved by the end of the month. Now, we talk about by the end of this week. Where does that put us up to? The 21st. That gives them another week after. I know, obviously, the 1st of June is on the Thursday. But we're looking at basically 2 weeks from now. Just under 2 weeks, 13 days until the end of the month to supposedly wrap this up. This has been going on for 115 days, I think it is. Like, you're looking at, 4 months? I just think another 2 weeks seems like child's play in comparison, doesn't it? Like, this has been a long-running thing, and at some point they have to say, right, this is the end of it now. This is the end of the bidding. Because we keep doing this. The last round of bidding was meant to be the last one. Do you remember that? The third round of bidding, final bids are in. Then the second round of bidding before that, right, we're going to have after the first one, they went, right, we're going to have a second round of bidding now. And everyone was going, right, once we know this, we'll know who's buying Man United. Then they went, final bids are in. Then Jim Ratcliffe went, what about this? And they went, oh, that sounds good. And then Qatar went, Sheikh Jassim, went, what about this then? A fourth bid. How long do we do this for? How long do we keep just adding more and more and more layers to this? I just think, just fucking pick someone. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Sheikh Jassim wants to buy 100% of United and recently upped his bid an amount to the region of 5.4 billion. The suggestion is that Jim Ratcliffe is not looking to buy the entire 100% for now, but overall values the club higher, if you know what I mean. So instead of saying, I'll buy 100% of 5.4 billion, he's saying, I'll buy 50% or 51% at 3 billion, effectively valuing the club at 6 billion in total, which is more than Sheikh Jassim wants. The only thing I don't get is, could someone in the comments clear this up for me, if you've heard something or seen something or know something about finance that I don't. This thing here, I think that the sort of second to bottom line there, Sheikh Jassim wants 100% of United and recently upped his bid in the amount to an amount in the region of 5.4 billion. Everywhere I see this report, I saw it on Sky, I see it everywhere, is Sheikh Jassim makes bid for 100% of Man United. Who is selling him 100% of Man United? Because the Glazers don't own 100% of Man United. So is this just a PR line to sort of make United fans go, oh, 100%, that's great. That means there's no Glazers involved. Where are they buying 100% from? Because to me, or from what I understand is, they would have to buy the 69% that the Glazers own and then buy the rest off of the stock market later. Basically buy those extra shares up and take the club off the stock market. There's no one else's... The bid that they are making, this 5.4 billion bid, who is that to? Because the Glazers don't own 100%. So what is that about? Abdul says 100% of the 69% that the Glazers own. Well, that doesn't make sense, does it? Do you know what I mean? Bill O'Reilly says, finance, once you own a certain amount of a company, you're able to buy out the minority shareholders at market price. I understand that. I get that. But this wants 100% of Man United and has upped his bid to 5.4 billion. The bid, 5.4 billion, isn't for 100% of Man United, though, is it? Because that bid isn't going to every single shareholder and the Glazers all at once, surely. Do you know what I mean? It feels to me as though... Okay, so Manish here says 5.4 is for 100%. That means he will buy the 70 that the Glazers own for less than 5.4 and the remaining stock later. 5.4 includes the debt as well. It just feels like to me, that feels like a PR. The way that everyone is saying Sheikh Jassim wants 100%. His offer is to buy 100%. There is no single offer that can buy 100% of Man United, as far as I understand it, because no single person or family owns 100%. I get this thing, you can buy it off the stock market afterwards, but that offer isn't what's going in now, is it? Surely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Qatar, the Ferocious says that Qatar is a full sale. There is no one owns 100% of Man United. Anyway, it just seems a strange one to me. Almac says it's not PR, you don't understand. Well, that's what I'm asking. Let me know what that means. 100% of all voting shares. Yeah, but that is what, as far as I'm aware, that's what Jim Radcliffe is offering as well, isn't it? He wants a voting control of Man United. Anyway, all very odd. You are correct, Joe, 100%, but that 100% refers to the Glazers' voting shares. Right. Interesting, isn't it? It just seems to me that it's a slightly different tweak in the wording, and I wonder whether this is a sort of just so you know, when you report on our bid, make sure you say 100%, because I feel like that's a phrase that gets United fans, and myself included, really excited, this idea that they're taking the whole thing off the Glazers. But then you look and the Glazers don't own 100%. So 100% of the voting shares is different to 100% of Man United. Anyway, yeah, Daniel Berry says it's a sleight of hand. It does feel a bit like that. But anyway, that's, we can get into the PR of all of this at another time, perhaps. I just wanted to ask people if anyone gets it. And no offence to anyone in the comments, but it seems as though no one quite understands. And I think that's the point. It feels to me as though this is make sure you phrase it as 100%, when really, what does that mean? And no one seems to know what that means. Anyway, this is Bill O'Reilly, sums it up perfectly. No one is given enough details because none of us know what the fuck is going on. And I think that's a perfect place to end it. We will get more information, hopefully, in the next week regarding this. But maybe by the end of this week, we won't know anymore. Unfortunately, no one understands, but he doesn't want to keep the Glazers. That's from Levi. Here, I'm up for that as well. Thank you very much. Right, that's going to be all from me this morning. We'll be back later today with the preview for the game at the weekend. And I've almost forgotten who it's against, for God's sake. Who have we got? Let's have a look. Is it West Ham? Bournemouth. West Ham, fucking hell. Bournemouth at the weekend. I'm all over the place after last night, I'll be honest with you. Man United versus Bournemouth at the weekend. The preview will be coming up today. Thank you for joining us. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in a bit.